long time no see, I feel like, but I have been busy making bags. Oh, if you've never seen me, I never introduced myself, do I? I'm Anna and I make bags out of old fabrics, basically. This month I have been having a lot of fun making patchwork bags. The whole collection's been patchwork, and you'll be glad to know, if you watched my video last month when I was talking about my collection, I'm really, really happy this month. I'm really happy with how the bags have came out. I've had fun making them. It's gone pretty smoothly. Anyway, I'm gonna show you some of the bags, talk about them, and then show you what I'm thinking of doing for next month. So yeah, where should we start really? I started making kind of like all the smaller bags first, and then you know how you kind of start one thing and then I'd got an idea in my head about making a weekender kind of bag. So I just dropped all of these, and these were like the last thing I ended up finished, but they're quite sweet. So I've some little patchwork slouch bags there. I've just been using up like loads of bits of vintage fabric that I've had for absolutely donkey years, and some, like a lot of them weren't even my scraps. They were kind of scraps that I've inherited from other people. We had them a long time, so it's good to get some of these bits used up. So yeah, I started with some slouch bags, and then I was like, getting all excited about making these like hold all weekend bags. And so this is the first one of them that I made, like kind of the prototype, I guess, if you will. I kind of spoke about doing this one in my video last month. So yeah, I cut up all of these kind of kiddie kind of fabrics in like 60s. This one was from a cushion from the 60s of my mum's, I think. That I got in a vintage shop. Somebody donated me that vintage shop. That's like that was a Bisto, you know, the gravy thing, like the fruit and the spots with this kind of old 60s apron. So it's got a lot of cool stuff on it. This, I don't know, it's hard to pick, but I'm like veering towards this one being my favourite, to be honest. I just love it. I think if I had it, I just think that was so special. I'd really just be like, every time I got it out, I'd be like, I like that. But yeah, so that went well. I thought it was a bit big at first, but after kind of living with it for a bit, I thought actually it's a good size, I think. I've spent a lot of time making and sewing, like more than I normally would this month. But then I kind of did do that to myself because of the patchwork, obviously, choosing patchwork. I did think delusionally that I'd be able to cut all my squares and make all of the patchwork for all of the bags if I planned it in one day. It didn't happen. I think after that one, I made this one, which I really like too. All of these ones are from 60s curtains, scraps I had from that, and then this isn't. This was just some fabric, I don't remember what that was from, but some vintage fabric anyway. All the bits of denim are like leftover bits from the jeans that I use when I make these kind of bags. I did use another pair of jeans to make them, thus creating more scraps. But what I have realised is like, no matter how much patchwork you do, no matter how much you try and use your scraps, like they ain't going anywhere. So that's the lining of that one. It's quite nice. I've also been working on the sewing pattern for this a little bit this month, as I've been promising it for a while. But, you know, like I was a bit worried about doing the backpack because I thought, it's quite tricky at some points. And with this one, although the rest of the bag's not too bad, it's just this pocket that makes it just an absolute, like, poo head. But I think I've figured out, it looks really nice though, and I think I've figured out how to make it a bit easier actually, which is just to use a really wide zip. And now when I used to use these tiny zips, like no wonder it was just the bane of my life. But yeah, and then I've used some of the same curtain. I had to cut a bit out, but I had quite a lot of that fabric, so it does seem a bit lavish to use it as binding, but I think it's just a little bit of pizzazz that sets it off. So yeah, I like that one. I was kind of like liking them all as they were coming out. I try not to like go through them all individually, but I think this one's worth talking about. I think this one I did next as well. I mean, the fabrics, for me, that's kind of a bit of me really, that. I think that one's one for like the campers, the festival goers, These fabrics are kind of, I think they're from, some of them will be from the 60s and then probably up to about the 80s. And I feel like a lot of people would recognise some of them, but yeah, so I love that one. Made a few bum bags as well, and usually I put denim on the ends or whatever matches that the back I put on the sides, but I've done it kind of all over patchwork and I actually think it works really well. Sorry if they're a bit rustly. And they feel a bit more like summer. Again, the whole kind of thing's got a bit of a like summer holidays vibe, which I like. And because these slouch bags aren't really square, they do actually produce a little bit of scraps, which, you know, I was thinking, oh God, should I just chuck them in the bin, like, for crikey's sake? But then I just sewed them all together and then made another little bum bag out of that. So I was like, oh, that actually, I quite like that, and I like the fact that it's like what it's made from. So it's quite, I like that one as well. This one's quite interesting. Basically, somebody made a backpack out of my sewing pattern, and it was very different to how I'd normally make it, where I'd normally just put like the fun bit on this piece. They'd put different fabric mixing and matching all around. So I had all these vintage fabrics. This one just took so long, not even with the sewing, just me like choosing all fabrics, thinking, oh yeah, that one, that one, that one, that one, and then surrounded by like 100 different prints, similar-ish, of vintage fabrics, and just thinking, I don't know, like and I just went blind in the end and picked them at random, basically, I think. But so it's definitely different to any of the backpacks I've made before. I think what I really like about it is the a little bit wonky quilting. I did draw it all out on the other side with a ruler, but where this stuff I was using for padding was so bouncy, it was just like like the threads kept not catching. So in the end, I just freestyled it from this side, and actually I think that has given it quite a like kind of, I don't know, like a very like honest handmade look, if that makes sense, like a very kind of cute feel. 3 bags all out of this amazing vintage quilt that I got from a vintage shop. It was literally on the floor, like bedraggled, about a year ago, and I made a few bags out of it last year. Couple of big bags, load of bum bags, slouch bags. So these are kind of the final few. I just love working with this, and I just can't believe every time I work with it, because it was huge, it was absolutely huge, and I know you all know all of this, but it's just like every single line has been hand sewn with like the tiniest stitch. And it was humongous. Like, I think normally sometimes a lot of these hexes, at least they're a bit bigger, but these are tiny. Astounding, really. Obviously, it's really been a great kind of pleasure to make it all nice again, and then the fact that it's kind of been split up and given to sort of people in various places to kind of enjoy. Like, I think that the person who originally made it would hopefully be quite pleased with that. You can only hope. Again, this backpack's like a little bit different to how I'd normally make it. It's kind of got a bit of mix and match denim, and I love how the straps are like that as well. Some little square bums, so I could use up some small scraps. I really like this one. So it seems like I am going through them all. But I've got to show you this one because I know that loads of people recognise and get a bit of pleasure from seeing these fabrics. A lot of the old Laura Ashley scraps, I thought I'd got them all from, must have been like an ex-dressmaker, because they were all the armholes. But then I hear from people that actually they were sold as offcuts for projects and stuff back in the 80s, so that's quite cool and quite hilarious that obviously 80, 90, like 40 years later, finally been used for something. But yeah, I think that's really pretty. Okay, that's all the bags. Let me tell you what I'm planning for next month, April. So I did actually want to just give myself a little bit of a break and not pick something where I had to make the fabric myself. Although it's fun and I'm happy with the results, do you know what I mean? I've not done anything but sewing and making bags. I've had to like put my bag back a bit because I was like, oh, I'm not going to finish. And I think some of these still haven't got their binding on the inside, so I'm not like fully finished yet. Anyway, it's my birthday month. Not that I really celebrate or care that much, but I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use all my favourite fabrics, which are, it's like all of these kind of fabrics. Ugh. I just love these kind of like retro floral prints. This is a new one I got recently. They're mostly like curtains or bedspreads or stuff. Like, obviously that's cool. I think these, I don't know, they just bring me so much joy. They've got to be my favourites. These St. Michael's ones, M&S, back in the 80s, I think. I'm sure you'll know. So yeah, so basically it's just going to be like all about these kind of fabrics, and I didn't know really what to call it, because I was calling it, what was I calling it at first? Just like retro flowers. This is what I was thinking in my head when I was kind of, but that's obviously a rubbish name. So then I was like, okay, well I need to think of a kind of name with a bit more zing, and I thought, oh, like retro garden. Anyway, that's obviously rubbish as well, so kind of would appreciate your help on that. That's pretty cool as well. We just found my sketchbook. Just went upstairs to look for it. It's funny because my partner's off ill. And I was like, you're gonna have to go upstairs, like shut the door and put some headphones on whilst I record this video. I just couldn't record it with him there. I was watching, does anybody watch, like, and if you, I'm sure you do, but if you don't, you should. Her name's like Carly B. So if you type Carly B sewing into YouTube, she's just so lovely. She's really, she's just a nice person to watch. Anyway, she's just moved into this like small flat with her husband and doing videos. He's in the background making biscuits. I could just never even let him watch like one Instagram reel that I've put up. But anyway, so yeah, I did want to do another new design for next month, and I was thinking like a really small square backpack, like much smaller than kind of, because I've not really got a small one, and the front would be one of these like crazy fabrics, and then the sides would be denim, cord, whatever, trouser fabric probably, with like a protruding pocket and then some little handles like that, if that makes any sense. So that would look nice with these. And I did also want to do a kind of tote bag with ruffles down the side, which I saw someone out and about wearing, and it looked really nice. And I thought that'd look really nice with these fabrics, but we'll see how it goes with making 2 new bags in a month. Anyway, sorry, I've not really been posting much, I feel like, on YouTube recently. It's like, I feel like I can either, I've not really got the balance yet. I can either make bags or post on YouTube. I'm just still trying to work on that balance. So the organisation, I would say it's getting better, but then, I don't know. Still working on it. Thank you so much for watching, if you're still watching. And if you've got any name suggestions for this next April's collection, which is like, all I can think of, I can just think of retro flowers, so I'm stuck in this rut, you know, where you can't think of anything else. So yeah, help me out. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.